That was the first bombshell, though, man. The second bombshell that we had coming out of Steelers training camp was with TJ Watt and his contract situation. Steelers defensive coordinator and outside linebackers coach Keith Butler essentially confirmed what a lot of us had talked about, or at least who were speculating on, in terms of TJ Watt's being at practice but not participating in practice, is largely because of the contract situation. You call it a hold in, you call it whatever you want to call it. Essentially, what's taking place right now? Yeah, hold in, right? Hold out is like when you don't show up because you don't get your contract. He's like, I'm going to show up, but I'm not going to practice. So we're calling it a hold in. Okay. All right. So Keith Butler essentially said that he supported TJ's decision, and he thought that it was the right decision by TJ. If you don't have the new contract, you don't need to be out there on that field risking it, man, because of the money that he's in line to make. I was a little surprised, though, that Coach Butts actually went that far to confirm it, because typically they don't talk about that type of stuff. Typically, if a guy's not practicing,
you broke the news first, if anything.
Low key,
you were ahead of the game.
Though. Chill out. Don't do that now. I ain't break no news. Nope.
You didn't break news. You speculated.
I speculated.
Yeah, you were like, I think
this
might be what's going on.
I had a strong hunch. It was a hunch. Yeah, don't. I don't break no. I don't want to break no.
No,
news.
We're not news breakers.
We're not a news breaker business.
We react.
No. Don't put that on. Don't you put that on me, baby. Don't you do that. Oh, don't you do that? Because we'll see in the next topic that we talk about, when you break news, man, even if your news could be accurate, it's still not good, man, because people kill you for that. I don't want to break any stories. But yeah, I was surprised that Keith Butler did confirm that, because typically they don't do that. Typically they would just give you with the he's working to get back, he'll be out there when it's supposed to be out there, and they don't have to go in depth. But hearing him talk about the contract situation and bring validity to what we were speculating, now that has become a new talking point, because the question starts now is you got 5 weeks, a little over 5 weeks before the opener, right? And TJ hasn't taken any practice reps. I mean, he works to the side, but he's not doing any team stuff. He's not doing any of the contact stuff, like no pad work, none of that, right? And now the conversation was, well, how long do you allow that to go on, or how long until he becomes a little bit more frustrated with these negotiations, timelines, deadlines, and things like that? So obviously, I was like, man, let's get up here and talk about that, baby. Like, what, because for me, as the former player, I 100% agree with what TJ is doing, because when you're TJ Watt and you're in line to become the highest paid defensive player in the NFL, yeah, in training camp, man, would he want to be out there? Absolutely. TJ is a guy who plays better when he practices. No different than when we saw L. Bell. Remember, L. Bell didn't show up to training camp, right? No preseason, came in that first game and struggled early on. We don't want that with TJ. That's typically how it plays out, though, just globally. When you look around the league, guys that hold out or guys that aren't practicing for whatever reason, they start slow, or they deal with soft tissue injuries early on in the season as well. So trust me, TJ wants to be out there practicing, but for TJ, it doesn't make sense to go out there and practice with the money that you're in line to make. You can't take that risk. But then from the organization side, I get a little bit frustrated, because we knew in April that he was supposed to be in line to be the highest paid defensive player. You knew when he ended last season, 2 years back to back, number 2 in the voting for defensive player of the year, that he was going to be needing to get this type of contract. We've seen guys that haven't had his productivity or his longevity or his availability get paid that type of money. Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett. So we know what the number is. So for me, if you're Pittsburgh, this is like the part that frustrates with the business of just the negotiations. Why do you allow it to get here? Nothing has changed. You knew you were going to need to pay him. You knew the cap was going up next year. You knew the timing of it in terms of when you needed to do the deal and how it would hurt you or how it wouldn't hurt you. Why do you allow it to get to training camp and we're a couple weeks into this thing and now we're having to talk about, oh, TJ Watt's still not practicing. TJ Watt still doesn't have that contract. Like, why does it take so long to get that deal done?
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, both sides are trying to do what's best for them, because TJ wants to get the most money. Steelers are probably trying to get that number down a little bit, and somehow, some way.
But this is my issue with that. When we're talking about why you pay a guy, productivity, okay, potential, All right. Pedigree. Where were you drafted at? All right. Availability. Off-field issues. Character. Does he not check all 5 of those boxes? Have we ever had any off-field issues with TJ? Have we ever worried about TJ's availability? Have we ever worried about TJ's productivity? Have we ever questioned his pedigree? Like, he checks every single box. And it's just like, well, what are you going to say negatively about TJ to say that he's worth less than what Myles Garrett got? That he's worth less than what the Bosa boy got? Like, let me know where you're going to point to something that says that. And that to me is the frustrating part, because you don't have any reason to not pay that man that. If it's guaranteed money, what is your reason to not give him that guaranteed money? And here we are.
I mean, here's the question. Yeah. Then did the Browns and the Chargers overpay for this? It
doesn't matter if they did.
No, that's the problem.
Doesn't matter if they did. The new market is the market. Absolutely. That's how it goes, man.
And if you know Steelers, that's how it goes. I don't think you want to let a player of his caliber, especially edge rusher, like you want to talk about cornerstone positions, quarterback, edge rusher. I guess you could throw cornerback in there too.
Yeah.
Left tackle. Like those are cornerstone positions. I don't know if you just necessarily want to let walk or have a bad situation with them, especially heading into this season. It's tough, dude. It's tough because what's the number? So you think for a fact it's not for a fact, but are you speculating that he just wants to be paid higher than Joey Bosa? Like he wants the highest number.
The highest number is Donald, I thought.
Defensively, I just got edge rushers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like highest, like this dude.
Because Bosa's at 27,
second in the ranking for Defensive Player of the Year on consecutive seasons. Bosa ain't done that. Garrett ain't done that.
I know.
Like that's a different conversation. That's what I'm saying here. Like, where are we trying to set this line where his number should be anything less than that?
I'm not saying it should be. Yeah. I'm not. I think that's just the tough part. I mean, if you're the Steelers, have we paid a guy like that?
Have we had a player like that though? Debo, when he got to that lane, he was older. Troy, I don't know
and the numbers. The numbers are so different now than
these guys are getting QB money. Like he's going to be in that 30 range. Like realistically,
I just never thought we did those type of deals with defense, like the QB money with defensive players.
But typically,
that's got to be the hesitancy though, a little bit. And I don't blame the Steelers for that.
Yeah,
but oh man, because really, for us, man, it's always just like you pay Ben, and we're making it work outside of that. If it's too high, we let you go. And that a lot of people, and that's usually the case, and that's usually worked out for us. I mean, you could point to an outlier or two, but
I mean, in the chat, right? A lot of people are saying that you got to pay him. Alex Mendez, he says the market makes the market. You got to cut that check for him, man. Oh man, it just jumped on me. But cool, Chris. TJ's contract is gonna be big with the 3 capital G's because we know it is gonna be big. Now, one of the knocks in terms of why they shouldn't pay TJ this crazy money and why they are negotiating. I'm losing where the guy's name is, but he brings up TJ's lack of sacks in the postseason.
No, that can't be a reason.
I'm just throwing it out there, but that is something that people could potentially say. Donald Copley says no sacks in the playoffs. They are negotiating. He's been to 2 playoff games, right?
We made the playoffs in 17, his rookie year. But then he
was started the whole season. Don't side out of rookie year. He was playing the whole year. He was started from day one.
And we remember that's how the Debo situation
started. Yeah, and then last year versus the Browns.
Okay, I get that. That because that plays into my point of like $30 million to an edge rusher. Does that promote winning? You know what I mean?
You bring up a great call. That's a great question.
Promote winning.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking, like, did they overpay for Myles Garrett and Joey Bosa?
But another thing I'll say is this, though. And this isn't to, like, rub anybody the wrong way, but if you're TJ Watt and you said, does paying an edge rusher $30 million promote winning? Could he easily not say, does paying Ben, what you paid him a year ago, which you try to do with the cap to pay him this year, does that promote winning compared to what I can do for you? If you're TJ Watt, because TJ is one of those guys on that team that can legitimately say his impact is of that level, right? It's not a lot of people that can talk that, hey, man, our impact is kind of like in Ben's conversation. I think TJ, Minka, you can throw Cam in there a tiny bit, but not to the same extent, right? If you're TJ though, that could be a legitimate counter to that negotiation right there though.
Well, I just think it's the thought of who else are you going to pay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. Like, hey man, this is the market. Who else are you going to pay? This is what I'm worth. And you should, I think any player would be thinking that. Like, I think highly of myself and I think I should be paid this amount.
Yeah.
But this is why we have a negotiation right now,
True.
as you could see. Like, I could see why there's because we've never.
Because
I'm not gonna lie to you. All of a sudden, TJ Watt has $30 million.
It changes a lot, right?
I'm feeling a little bit different about him. He's playing how he is on this rookie contract, and we feel amazing about it.
30 mil. I want to sack every game. 30 mil.
That's
I
what
need
I'm saying.
2 sacks every game.
He will be highly scrutinized and criticized now
bro.
with $30 million.
It's different, yeah.
Like who's getting? What's Dak? Dak's getting 40,
right?
Like,
but Donald was the first defender like of this generation to go start getting that quarterback money. Like Mario Williams was the first to get $100 million, but Donald was the first to really get that quarterback type money. And think about him. He's been able to at times exceed that, which is crazy to say. But even on his down year where he has 13 and a half sacks, think about how we would say, he's just had 13 sacks. That's it. Like
as an interior defense lineman.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
That's the expectation when you start getting paid like that. So with TJ, that would change. Yeah, you're absolutely right. 30 million, that changes a lot how we look at him, man.
That's why I find funny with the fans saying like, oh, you got to pay TJ. TJ's going to get big money. Oh, yeah. I'm like, bro, do you know what that means though? Like, I get it.
30 mil, you're gonna be cutting corners in other positions.
We love TJ, and bro, like that's the thing. Like you're not. I don't think you're gonna just let him go. Like I wouldn't. Let me put it to you this way: we're in a no-win scenario. I don't feel.
Deke said, "Yo, we love you, TJ, but for 30, oh no." Oh my god,
it's different, dude.
Hey yo, I love your honesty though, bro.
I'm just being straight up.
I love
it's a no-win scenario
honesty,
for me right now because. If things go bad, we let TJ walk.
Yeah.
Damn, we just let a generational talent go who's in the prime of his
future
career.
Hall of Famer.
Then if we sign him, it's for $30 million. It's like, oh, dude, I don't know how good I feel about this.
30 mil is a ton for an edge rusher, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the market is for TJ, though. That's where he's at.
Because, like, you think, all right, so Khalil Mack got a huge contract with the Bears. Like, he set the market. What have the Bears done? Von Miller, Broncos, after they won the Super Bowl. His contract was in 2016.
Then he got hurt,
They haven't done shit. They haven't found a quarterback. Now with Bosa, we'll see. They have Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett. We'll see. Baker Mayfield, though. I mean, they're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield like $40 million bucks, maybe.
They absolutely.
So now it's going to be those two guys.
Yeah. They got to be your staples. Now,
I don't think that's going to be good for the Browns.
Now, the one thing I can say about the Steelers in terms of why they could be a little bit more optimistic about paying TJ, not saying that this is what they're thinking, but if they viewed it as, hey, Ben isn't coming back next year. We know with Haskins, he's going to be super cheap. We'll probably draft a quarterback as well, super cheap. We could afford to go back to that model we talked about, right? The rookie quarterback salary, high paid everywhere else. We saw Seattle do that. We've seen Cleveland do it for a while now. Buffalo was doing it. Plenty of teams have went that process of paying everybody else and rocking with a young quarterback. If they are thinking that, then that could also be a thing where they will say, well, you know, we don't mind paying TJ to 30 or 30 plus because we know this is what we're going to transition to next year. So that could also play into it. But we don't know how they feel about Ben right now. I don't think nobody does until we see them play. You need to see them play.
So let's say Ben wants to come back. Is he doing the Brady Breeze 20 mil?
I don't know.
Which I think we could make that if Ben's like 20.
I mean, the cap is going to go crazy next year. But the problem is you're going to be paying. You got to pay TJ. Minka's coming up after that, and then you're going to have to look into Tua as well.
Yeah,
think about that's another one. That doesn't account for Devin Bush, who's going to be slowly getting there. Yeah, and still doesn't determine what you're going to do with Juju if you're trying to bring him back or not. So
this is life. This is why we have the draft, though.
Yeah. So that's the business of the game, right? But yeah.
So what are you thinking then? You had the standpoint or sentiment that like a deal should have just got done. Like
I would have much rather you paid him because you knew what his market was going to be. He's been productive since he's gotten here. He hasn't given you any reason to say no. That's my thing. If you bring up the playoffs, if that's why you say no, I can understand that. And okay, that's the case. Then we'll have a even deeper dialogue, because what he's been able to do in the regular season, when you're talking about being number 2 in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year on back-to-back seasons, to me, that weighs a lot more heavier than 2 playoff games, and one of them was your rookie season. That's just kind of how I look at it. And it's not poo-pooing the rookie season, because like I said, he played well his rookie year. He played a ton, started from day one. But what he's been able to accomplish doing the regular season body of work has been ridiculous at times. You pay those type of players, especially when his counterparts, his contemporaries are getting paid like that, and he's better than them. He's more productive than those guys. To me, I think it's a no-brainer. You cut the check for that guy right there, man.
I get it. I see the Steelers hesitancy though.
Yeah, I can. When you broke it down like that, 30 mil for the edge, like the expectation drastically changes. It drastically changes.
I just don't think you let that guy walk though. Yeah. This is why it's no win, I think.
Yeah.
It is if he completely balls out, I guess. Now the numbers, so now paying that extra $5 million seems like not a big deal if he keeps on this trajectory, but that's no guarantee. I mean, we think it is.
Well, the question we have then, because we're gonna transition to, because we gotta keep it rolling. But the real question becomes, would you rather have TJ Watt at 30 mil plus and no Big Ben at quarterback next year? Or would you rather keep Ben and whatever happens?
TJ's walking, dude. I'm sorry. We got Ingram. I saw some of those spin moves from Highsmith. We'll be all right.
Let's go.
I'm sorry.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is big Deke energy right there, man. And you stay true to it, man. That's why we love you.
That's the case.
You got to stay true to it. My man said, look, bro, TJ, 30. I appreciate you. Have a great career. Golly. Hey, Roscoe Smokes, man. He just joined the upper room. Roscoe Smokes, man. Shout out to you, baby. Welcome to the upper room. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, man. Man, that's funny, bro. We got to see what the
Deke's delusional. No, I'm being straight up. Because
no, I don't think he's delusional. I think he's legitimate.
I'm being straight up, dude. Having been at a dude, think Brady is at a contract for $20-25 million. Like, that is huge value.
Yeah.
If what plays out, how I'm talking about with Ben, that he is still in that elite class, to get him back on $20-25 million, that is a huge value.
That would be.
TJ Watt at $30 million, are we saying value? I don't know.
Yeah. Now
Ben's got to ball out. I'll be straight up. Ben's got to ball out. He's got to continue to prove that he's in that elite status.
Correct.
If he does that, then I would 100% rather have Ben back.
Now, Cam Leston, man, we appreciate you. He says, Deke, quit playing. Stop overthinking this. Steelers need to pay Watt immediately. We do not want to lose him. We do agree that we don't want to lose TJ. I think the sentiment, though, is the 30 mil number is the sticking point for my man Deke. The 30 mil for edge is a ton. Not everybody is comfortable with that. You know me, I'm all for it. I would pay him 40 because I love edge rushers, but I can't throw that number out there. All right. So with that being said, 30 is the magic number right now, or at least in that ballpark, just based on what the other guys have gotten and, that are comfortable with that.
People want to cancel me right now. They're saying get me off the show.
It's more so because they, you said you want Ben next year over my man TJ. That's the lightning rod. You know that, but it can. The only way it can work, Ben would have to take way less money. I don't know, and he would have to actually look like he could still get it done. We're talking about a full season later. I mean, think about a year ago, this time, our perception of Ben, then the midway point with Ben, then the end part of Ben, then once the season ended, how we looked at it. So with 7 right now, I still feel like it's too early to even make plans yay or nay for him next season, because we're not going to know that until we get the full 17 games out of him, man. So that's kind of like why I'm not 100% like against what you're saying in terms of, oh man, you got to keep Ben, whatever, because we don't know what he's going to look like throughout the duration. But with TJ is a foundation piece. TJ is a franchise staple. You talk about having a franchise edge rusher, dude. I was here in 2014. We had to do the group thing because none of us were franchise edge rushers at that time. That's how it played out. We got it. We made it work, but it was a lot more difficult on us. It made the defense, have to work a lot harder just based on how we were constructed defensively. When you have a guy like TJ, it takes a lot of that away. You don't have to become exotic. You don't have to say, well, hey, man, if the corners on the back end aren't as good as we think they are, maybe we got to blitz these guys to get pressure. No. You don't have to do that because you got TJ. So now you're like, hey, man, I'm a lot more confident with James Pierre out there at corner when TJ Watt is rushing compared to if that is Cassius Mark. Well, now we got Melvin Ingram, so it's changed a little bit, right? Melvin and Highsmith.
So maybe Melvin Ingram wasn't for depth.
Stop it.
Stop
it, bro. We're definitely not going.
I'm just saying. Were they also thinking of a different situation?
Bro, TJ Watt, it has to be on this team, bro. I feel like I don't want to talk about this defense if we're not talking about TJ Watt being included. I already had to lose my dog Bud. You know that when I'm looking about my guys, right? All my guys are starting to leave out that room. TJ is last of a dying breed right now, okay? Highsmith, we like Highsmith, but we weren't in there with Highsmith, so it's different. TJ, come on, man. That's blood, sweat, and tears together. Last of a dying breed. Pay that man. He has to stay here, baby. Has to, man.
I'm thinking even if TJ gets this contract, you can still make it work with Ben in the offseason for sure. I don't think it comes down to that because we still have a ton of cap space. Mm-hmm. TJ is going to be the only guy that takes anything into that cap space from what I know of. So we're still going to be able to, I think, make the numbers work one way or another. But if you're asking me one way or another, I told you I'm going 7.
Hey,
if it somehow came down to that, I told you.
I did see somebody in the chat. They were saying for TJ, just simply give him incentives this year and then sign him long term next season. The reason why I don't think that works out like that, TJ's scheduled to make, was it like 14, 15 this year? Tops.
It's double digits, right?
Yeah. It's in that range tops though, right? So even with incentives, if you give him another $5 million in incentives, he's still going to be $10 million short of what he should be making on a per year basis. So once again, it still doesn't make a lot of sense for TJ to do that. But the thing that's unique in this situation, unlike James Washington, the Steelers have all of the leverage in this situation. You know why? You ready for this?
Hear me out, because the Ingram.
No, not even
a little bit.
No. Check it out. This is why. 5th year option, franchise tag.
Oh yeah.
Franchise tag.
This is Le'Veon Bell.
You own him for the next 3 years.
It's looking like it's $10 million this year.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. So because Bud was the one who was on 14, but he was on franchise tag, whereas with TJ's 5th year option. Good call on that. But with the Steelers, in terms of why they have all the leverage in this thing, 5th year option, 2 times they can franchise tag. So that's 3 years they control TJ Watt. Also TJ's under contract right now.
Yeah.
So if TJ decides not to show up to practice, if TJ decides not to play in games, if TJ decides that he's not going to show up to work, they can fine him $30,000 every day that he's not there. It's that simple. And then if he decides to do anything else, they can go to this little special category that's called conduct detrimental, where it's a limitless amount that they can fine you. That's the other way that the Steelers could approach this thing if it went there. I was a little surprised with TJ's taking this approach because that hasn't been TJ's demeanor. TJ has typically been a guy that, man, he's going to be out there regardless. Health doesn't matter. He's practicing, right? But this is the first time that he's been in line for a contract of this magnitude. So it was interesting to see how he handled it. It's like the mix right now, though, between L. Bell and Mike Hilton in terms of how he's going about it. L. Bell decided that he wasn't going to show up for anything. Mike Hilton showed up for everything. Both of those guys ended up getting paid elsewhere.
Mike Hilton's more in the James Washington category, though, because he was unrestricted.
Yeah.
James Washington's just got a year. You bring up a good point with TJ Watt. It's 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, you want to sit out and do all this other stuff. It's like, we could just tag you next year.
Absolutely,
tag you the following year.
Yeah.
But this is the weird part, and it goes back to what you said at the beginning. Like, the Steelers said we're trying to get a deal done with TJ Watt this offseason. So it's not like one of those things. Like with Bell, it never really felt like that was completely on the forefront. Because the contract they would offer him would be just front-loaded with the guaranteed money. It would be like only 15 or 16 million.
Correct.
Or that's what he was going to be getting anyway if they just kept franchise tagging him.
Correct.
In this scenario, they're talking about a long-term contract. So it doesn't seem like that's in their plans.
Yeah.
But it could, if everything goes south, that could be the way it goes.
Yeah. And that's ultimately why I said with the Steelers, they still have that. And when you bring up Melvin Ingram, this is how he plays into it, just in the sense of if TJ were to not play this year, right? I do not think that happens at all. But at the same time, I didn't think we would see this happening either. If that does happen, though, where TJ says, well, you know what? You didn't pay me. I'm not going to show up, right? We know the Steelers have their deadline of, hey, we don't negotiate once the season starts. TJ could say, well, I got my deadline. I don't play once the season starts. You, at least with Melvin, it won't be a disaster, right? Melvin is still going to be able to come out there and start opposite Alex Highsmith, and you can make it work. Now, it won't be nowhere near the same, but you can at least make it work. So once again, leverage falls back on the Steelers side. Now, I don't think that is going to move TJ's needle one way or the other, because if you're TJ,
I don't know if that's enough.
You're saying like, I don't care about that. I mean, y'all gonna hurt more than me. I'm still gonna get paid one way or the other.
We are trying to win a Super Bowl. We are all in. So not having TJ Watt would hurt us as much as having Melvin Ingram helps.
Oh my! I'm sorry.
It would really hurt.
I shouldn't have. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is it?
They said that you dress up as Big Ben for Halloween every year, and I did not mean to see that, bro. It like, you know how like you're looking at chat and just catch your eye at the wrong time, bro. Like, oh man.
No, I don't
tells people
do that.
His grandpa's Big Ben. Like, oh man, come on, man, we got to chill, man. Why you?
Hey, they're funny. Listen, I'm self-aware though. It's funny. I don't care. These are funny.
Well, yeah, man. This is going to be interesting to see, though, how it plays out. And now, because Keith Butler has confirmed it, this was the other thing. The way the team had been trying to go about it, and why I spoke of it the way that I did, they didn't want this to become a thing. They didn't want that to publicly be out there. They kind of enjoyed the, oh, yeah, well, he's working, you know.
It's going to get done.
And by the rule of who's available and who's not, during training camp, they don't have to give an injury report. And with practices, the way that it works, and this is training camp and during the season, as long as a guy has a jersey on and cleats, they're participating in practice. So when you ask, is TJ Watt there? Did he participate in practice? He had his jersey on when they came out the stretch. Yep, he participated. Even though I'm watching it, I'm like, he isn't doing any team drills. He's not doing any individual work. He's working by himself over here with the strength coach. Remember I said strength coach, not training staff. That's the difference in terms of guys that are injured versus guys that are, you know, they got something else going on in terms of why they're not on that field, whether it's disgruntled, whether it's contract, whether it's whatever else they got, vet day, whatever. That's how you could tell who works with who. TJ every single day has been working in that group. He's not working over there with the injured guys. So when we speculated that, because we don't break news, we speculate, that was why right there, man. But yeah, I feel like, man, you got to get the deal done somehow, bro. Got to get it done somehow, man. I just don't want this to keep going on, because it's going to get talked about that much more now. Once Keith Butler confirmed it, now this is going, every day that TJ is out there and he's not practicing, every day that the contract isn't done, they're going to be asked about it. It's going to be talked about. And that's just what we have to deal with now.
How do you feel about the hold and approach?
I told you, for me,
is it actually more of a distraction?
I'm 50-50 on it. I feel like whenever you're talking about guys winning money, it's always going to be a distraction to some level. Now, as a player, because I've been in locker rooms with guys going through contract disputes and stuff like that, you just kind of focus on what you can focus on. You know, okay, if that guy gets there, man, it's going to work out. He's going to be ready to go. Sometimes they show up and they are ready to go. Sometimes they show up and it takes them a couple of games to get going. But you just bank on the fact that, yo, they're going to get there. We just lock in. We're not going to discuss it. We're not acknowledging it publicly. If a reporter asks us, yo, I do not care. Like, that's his money, right? And that's why when the guys here in Pittsburgh commented on L. Bell, it's kind of like, yo, like, what are y'all doing? Y'all,
the lineman.
Yeah, it's like, yo, I understand, like, at the time, you know, there's a lot going on, but you just don't do that. That's not how you operate in the NFL, right? So it will be a distraction, but I think it'll more so be for the organization and how they like their perception to be, because it's going to constantly get brought up, and it's going to constantly, when Coach Simon talks, every day that he talks, if TJ Watt is not signed to a new contract, he's going to have to answer that question. Keith Butler, every time he talks, if TJ's not under contract, he's going to have to answer that question. They could, the reports, now the media here isn't like a Philly or New York where they really want to like stir the pot and really poke that bear, but realistically, if you get a reporter that says, you know what, I want to flame this fire even more. Well, now every time I talk to Alex Highsmith, every time I talk to Melvin Ingram, every time I talk to Cam Hayward, every time I talk to Stephon Tuitt, every time I talk to Devin Bush, Minka, Joe, man, y'all concerned that TJ Watt not going to be here? Y'all concerned he's not going to get this deal done? What if he holds out? What if he doesn't play? How y'all going to answer that? Now it becomes even bigger. And as you can see, that's how it can continue to just balloon out. And that's why I'm just like, if you're the Steelers, why do you want it to even get to that? Just take care of this man. Pay this man.
Yeah, and if you're TJ Watt, the Mike Hilton approach probably isn't doing you any good. Just because if you practice and ended up playing $10 million, there's something to the ego that's just not feeling good about that. Where you're getting $10 million, you're seeing Joey Bosa getting like 27. And
you're looking at Myles Garrett and you're saying, Myles, outside of a physical appearance difference, what do you have that's better than me? Like, seriously, like what have you done that's better than me in any way, shape, or form in the NFL? So yeah, you talk about Tim, or you talk about give him some incentives. Would you give him $20 million in incentives? Like, come on, baby.
I get it. I get it from TJ's perspective. I get it from the Steelers' perspective. Like I said, paying $30 million to an edge rusher like that, I can see the hesitancy. I don't know how they can work that deal where it's in their favor in a way, but man, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I wouldn't have expected this to get to this point. We just thought TJ was going to be on this defense, and our defense was going to be back to the top 3, top 5, especially with Bush coming back. We have Minka and everything, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, this is becoming a little bit more interesting as the season gets closer.
It definitely has, man. It definitely has. But either way, what I will say is this, man. You see the shirt? When you go to the Red Planet?
It's sick. As soon as I opened the door, I was like, damn, bro.
You come back. You know what this is called? This is called Universal Love. Universal Love. And it's through our people over at Into the AM, man. Shout out to them, man, providing the shirt. I know you got some content as well. Some dope little, Into the AM products, man. Super good feel on them. I absolutely love them. But like I said, man, because I like to frequent out of space every once in a while.
Which way is he going? Is he coming back or is he?
Oh, man, he's definitely going up. This is wake and bake.
Okay.
Some people are like, oh man, they got to get on the back end. He's coming back down to earth. No. This dude is taking off. Yeah. He said, man, look, I don't care if you're on the West Coast and it's 6 a.m. I don't care if you're on the East Coast and it's 9 a.m. I don't care where you're at. When it's into the AM, because y'all know what's in the AM. Y'all see what we doing right here. You got to be ready to wake and bake.
It doesn't even look like he's got a rocket ship. Like
Not at all, man.
He's just got some blasters attached to his feet, and he's going straight from Earth man. Up to space.
I love it, bro. I love it. But also, you know how we do, right? We're not talking about you unless we got something to give to you or something for you. So, promo code, there it is, right? www.intotheam.com/moats10, and you'll get 10% off of your purchases on Into the AM's website, man. So shout out to them for that, providing the dope shirts. Yes, indeed. And just keeping it with the theme because, that's how we rock. And I do like the fact that they like to talk about, or they like to support content creators like us who have a nice connection with their crowd, which we do.